What's going on, guys? This is the DeFi Crypto Alliance show where we're doing our best to be the bridge between our fellow real estate investors and entrepreneurs alike and in the cryptocurrency world where we feel like crypto is the biggest opportunity over the next few years and it's not even close. So, welcome along on the journey. Corey, take it away.
Absolutely. Corey Geary here, and just truly blessed to be on this wonderful journey with all you fine men and women who are in this beautiful Hex community, this Pulsican community, Pulse Exican community, and just having a blast. We are winding down the week this week on a Thursday with open mic day. We're not going to be here tomorrow, so we figure we do our open mic day today, but let's talk about how we're going to create crypto as that wealth creation tool and use real estate as a wealth preservation tool and change the trajectory of our families' lives, of our friends' lives, and everyone around us. And man, I'll tell you, I was on Mario Spaces today, and I was seriously impressed with Hexy Bastard. So I give him mad props out to him and all his community. I am not part of that community, although I use the decks from time to time. I did not sacrifice, so full disclosure, I do not even own any 9-inch or BBC coin, but I am all about those guys. What they did this morning was seriously took some major balls. He actually sponsored the Mario Spaces, went up there and talked a good 10 or 15 minutes, not only shilling his stuff, but shilling the Pulse Chain ecosystem and community and shilling Richard Hart. He did an amazing job representing us up there. I thought he was going to be like real greedy and just talk about his stuff only and try to like cut out the Hex side of everything. He didn't. He brought it all together and it was great. So he mad props to him, his community, for you guys participating in his ecosystem. I hope he gets the decks kind of like pulled together. There's been a lot of hiccups since it's launched. I hope that thing comes together, and I hope you guys make a lot of money in his ecosystem. So I've got some new respect for him and what he's done. So I hope, man, I would love to see Buck do that. And I think Buck get up there and really handle a very intelligent conversation with those guys and just absolutely shield the shit out of our whole entire ecosystem, including the PH stuff. And that PH stuff, man, that is like, to me, that audience would probably appeal to that because like the PH stuff is very sophisticated tools, right? And bigger money likes that sophistication. You know, big money, they're not going to come in there and play on meme coin decks. I mean, maybe some of them will. Don't get me wrong. There's something for everybody. The money's not everything. So your personality matters too. But I mean, I'm telling you, there's guys in there who would love a GMX fork. You go in there and go, hey, we got a GMX fork. We have an Aave fork. They're going to be like, holy shit, where is this at? You know, I can get in on Aave on day one. Whoa, let's go. Right. And I think it'd be massive if we can get Buck to do the same. Maybe he should do a small little sacrifice from the community to raise the money so he can go.
No, they raised the money. They had the money.
I know. I just want to push his ass. I want to do whatever it takes to push his ass in the right direction. Yeah, I mean, I'd rather not do a sacrifice, but I just want him to do it. Get out there and fucking do it, bro. Like, you would represent our community so well. And I mean, those are my guys. That's why I'm shilling Buck, because he's my guy. I love their ecosystem. I love their tools. I'm obviously invested, full disclosure. I'm an investor. So yeah, I would like to see that. But my props to Hexy, guys. So if you guys are in this community, good for you guys.
Absolutely. What's up, Norbert? How you doing?
Norbert, what up, buddy?
Hello, guys.
Are you a 9-inch sacrificer?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
yes,
let's go, bro. Congratulations, man. Mad props to you and your community.
I'm not sure about that at the moment, but let's see.
But man, he did a great job today, dude. That was great.
I can imagine, which is good from him. But regarding 9-inch and the whole situation, what happened? I'm not sure if you remember. Hexy and Buck was in the same space or whatever, you know, at some point. And then Buck was so sweet when he said, you know, first Hexy was saying, you know, like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Oh, hey, Stefan.
How's it going, guys? Carry on.
In the house.
Mike sounds good. Nice. Sounds much better than on the stream the other day. It's more round.
Is that a bit better? There we go.
Yeah, much better compared to the last stream. So yeah, I was saying that you know, Hexy and Buck was in the same show at one point, and Hexy said something, and Buck was like, "My developers can do that in like half an hour," and then Hexy was like, "Well, I can't compete with that." But I understand that bugs can happen. I understand that things can go wrong, but I hope that other projects who wants to come out in the future, they're gonna take this as an example in the future, what to do and what not to do, because I understand that it can happen, but at the same time, that's why you have the time to prepare yourself for the launch, to have it as seamless as possible, because you only have kind of like one chance. Your reputation is the most important thing. And I started noticing two things when I started using 9-inch. First of all, the DEX. I went to the DEX and I wanted to swap something for something. And it, like, let's say I wanted to swap $10 worth of crypto, and then it was giving me like 20 cents worth of crypto on the other side. I said, maybe there's not enough liquidity.
Typically.
Yeah. Then I went to something else, something more typical. Don't take me wrong. I don't remember what I was doing, but I tried something else, and I was getting the same thing. So I was like, that's not looking good, because you don't want to have these kind of things. And I think what happened was that if your DEX is not working, you're not collecting fees on the transactions, because these just not happening. Then where the money is going to come from? Then these multipliers were going up, like quite a few thousands of percent APR, and it was looking good. But then one point to another, it cut down, and then you were earning pretty much nothing.
I know.
And then liquidity started leaving as well. And then now, the last time I checked, it were like about $5 million liquidity compared to like 30 something when it was around that time. So yeah, it's really, really important to make sure that everything is. If you have to take another few months, then do it. Don't worry about what the people think, and never promise like, oh, we're gonna come out at this point. No, don't say anything. That we're gonna come out when it's gonna be ready. Developers are working, and with testing, and even if they have to, I would say that now we have these oh, sorry, someone was calling. The crypto mastermind group, for example, allow us to have like an access to your platform to test it out. Someone who is a bit more into these things, especially yield farming or whatever, and then we give you feedback, and then go ahead to do things. And also have some sort of like consultants as well, not just like, hey, we're gonna do a DEX, it's gonna be cool. No. Let's have someone more sophisticated and understanding what should be done. But yeah.
Sure. Well, I think.
What do you think, Stefan? Or are you there?
No, yeah, I'll go real quick. I think to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying. So I think everybody here probably knows Mr. Beast and how he's just blown up on YouTube. I watched a video of his. It was really interesting, talking about the evolution of how his channel came to being what he does today. And he said that there was him and it was either 2 or 3 other friends, and they essentially had like a mastermind of sorts, where every single day they were meeting, they were talking about what was working for videos. They're trying out different thumbnails. They're trying out different approaches to how they're making their content. They spent, I think it was a year or 2 years doing this. And then all the money he'd make from his videos, he just pour back into the next one, and had this really strong compounding effect. And it's kind of cool in the Pulse Chain ecosystem, where someone like Hexy Bastard talking in the spaces today, if I'm a founder, I'm paying really close attention to all of these different efforts that are being done, and I'm seeing, hey, what's working and what's not, so I can mimic the things that are working. I can bring more attention to what's going on. I could bring more people to the space, and it's cool because there's kind of like a giant within the community, right? People can look and see what's working, what's not, and hopefully scale some of those things that are working. So it's an exciting time, man. So, Money Gang, what's your take, man?
Well, it's some good in-person conversation.
Your audio's
a
little bit quiet. You might need to turn your mic up.
Yeah, I don't think the actual mic portion is working.
Let's try this again. Sorry, guys. 2 seconds.
Oh, you're fine.
Is that a Shure mic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
the sh-
That's what I
It,
got.
it like auto
Very
for some
fun.
reason it just auto reduces itself and then you have to
It
go-
did it again.
It auto
It just did it again.
No,
Freaking Mike.
It's
It was
what
staying there for about 3 seconds.
that's the mic I have in Phoenix, Dane.
Is it?
They're great mics, but they're on the costly side. Just for the mic alone, I remember I paid $1,200 just for the actual mic part.
Money
and I
Gang
bought the arm.
might debate you on how good it is here. Basically.
I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to this.
I mean, I'm using a $50 mic from Amazon. It probably doesn't sound great, but it works.
That sounds fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds fine, man.
Well, I'm having issues. I don't know what's going on with the mic.
Oh, now you're back.
No, you're not.
Oh, now you're not. It's up and
Guys,
down.
I'll come out and then come back in.
Hey, at least he's
Okay, yeah, try
what he's
that.
doing. He's coming on our show to test it out. That way, when he goes to his show, he'll be like, he's using us as a playground.
It just
Right.
seems to be auto reducing for some
That was
reason.
good. Now it's working.
I don't know. This mic is I had some technical issues with it. I need to get I'm
You
doing
sound
it
good
with-
now.
Okay. all right.
Now it's good. Now it's good.
As long as it's coming through clear. Yeah, I wish you guys could be a fly on the wall when me and Randy Hilarski were talking to the devs and Hexy Bastards at the
Yeah.
9-inch launch.
That's right.
Yeah, because we,
Yeah,
know,
give us the
obviously
take,
there
man.
was some major concerns, right? There was big concerns, and we were like, what's going on? From what was relayed to me was that there was a major DDoS attack that occurred on the front end. And then also they used the same servers. I don't know if I should say this on camera, but whatever. They used the same server service as Uniswap, and Uniswap also went down as well. So that had gone down at the same exact time. So Uni went down, and also 9-inch had gone down at the same time. So there was some big issues. They had to put up a temporary front end. That's not what you want to see from a DEX, obviously, from launch. But now they've kind of increased their server service. I think you'd have to ask Hexy for the ins and outs and the details of it, but that was it was a double attack, a double prong attack as well. There was a massive DDoS attack. Some people say that it's from inside the community. No comment on that.
Probably was. I mean, sucks that we have to play that way sometimes. I wish we could just play nice with each other because we're all in this together. I don't care what. Just because I don't own 9-inch, don't mean that I don't want it to succeed, because I know when they succeed, then that means my bags are going to pump indirectly. And so it's really shitty that sometimes that we have that.
Yeah, there's rumors. I'm not going to put it out there because I'm not trying to get involved with drama and.
Sure.
But yeah, Gary, how you doing, man?
Hey, Gary.
Oh, long time no see, Mr. Gary Woods. How we doing?
It's been a while. I don't know if my mic is okay. Is it wrecked?
It's better than Money Gangs because I can't hear him anymore again.
I don't have all the professional setup in a studio or whatever. You guys know.
I'm on a $50 Amazon mic right now.
Google Pixel Buds Pro. That's it. Like 100 quid. Easy.
Well, I haven't listened to the stream. I heard, or at least I saw the title, which is 9-inch killed the Mario space. So I wanted to catch up on that. I actually was about 5 minutes into that podcast, so I haven't heard the rest of it yet to hear in that context. But just to start the conversation, I think that, and I did just recently post it, Money Gang Crypto's explainer about Metcalfe's law and Reed's law. I thought that was excellent. I thought that sound bite of about 2 minutes was pretty clear and concise. And I think that that's been this tribal battle between the Bitcoin narrative, Cyber Hornet. It's an immutable asset class. It shouldn't be tinkered with. Don't build on top of it. Kind of L0 narrative that they have. And I've heard that forever. At least in the 7 years that I've been involved with Bitcoin. And some people even remember that during Hex's launch, I ditched 20 Bitcoin basically to participate with Hex. So I liked I liked the narrative of something being built on top of Ethereum, on top of a network, store of value, self-contained smart contract. I liked all those narratives back in 2019 and 2020. And now I see new people, obviously attracted because of green candles, since Bitcoin went down as far as 3,500, 3,600. The same sorts of people come out of the woodwork and say, look, here's the opportunity. Here's the opportunity as far as Bitcoin's narrative. And so people that we have seen on camera and have done streams with hexagons and things like that, such as Gary Cardone, he's very involved with hosting these Twitter spaces. And he's, a serial successful guy, but he's also 70, I think 68, 69 or 70, something like that. And he was talking yesterday about with a Bitcoin, maximalist position person and some other people, probably closer to BlackRock than others, about Bitcoin and about should things be built on top of Bitcoin? And you've seen some of this pivoting in some ways. Even the champion for Bitcoin for the past several years of Michael Saylor, I didn't really like when he was saying that it needs to be in control by bankers and Wall Street and get the children out of the room kind of stuff that he was just saying recently, in order to have Bitcoin grow. But it is kind of the frame that you're seeing. You're seeing the rah support from Bitcoin people that normally would have been, let's make sure that everybody has a wallet. Let's make sure that this money is for the people and utilized by people, to being, the thing that many of us deal with, which is the technical challenges of knowing something and not letting someone else know that thing, right? So it's the publishing of your private keys, publishing it to a centralized exchange. And once you've published it to that centralized exchange, now there's two people that know your keys, or there's two entities that know your keys. So it's not and I was trying to explain that for a few minutes during Gary's recent thing that I tweeted, which was his podcast that he was hosting. And it was just a couple of minutes. It was Gary and Grant and myself and maybe two other people as speakers. And I really only had a couple of minutes. And I just want to get that soundbite in there. And it was basically, what do you want your crypto to be? Richard and this community has championed the idea of not your keys, not your crypto. We've seen death and destruction of financial assets with Celsius, Voyager, and all the other names that go along with it, right? When you relieve yourself of your keys. So it is that challenge of sound money, sovereign money, DeFi. You're in control. You have to go through this learning curve in order for you to be, pseudo protected in technology, right? What it needs to be what you know and not what other people know. So I was trying to explain some of those things, and it still goes over majority of these new people's heads.
We understand that pain,
right? So I wanted to highlight that Money Names Crypto's commentary about Reed's Law, that really is the battle between Ethereans and Bitcoiners, like the hardcore Bitcoiners, because it's store of value. It's not going to change. Gold is always gold. And yet they ignore, for the most part, that the use case of gold is jewelry. It might be high tech. It still is transformative. Sure, it's gold, but now it's in a micro dot connecting a circuit board. So it actually is transformative. Or now it's a piece of jewelry people hang around their neck or put it on their finger. So it is still transformative. Sure, it's gold. It has a base of gold. But they really haven't, as a community or Cyber Hornet or whatever the maximalists yell, embraced building on top of it. And many of us that have been involved with Hex took on the same kind of strong arm about it's Hex, buy Hex. Hex is the thing. Don't ever buy anything or that's derivative on top of Hex. Hear every pitch under the sun that Hex is going to be utilized by something else. And and then it goes to the fractionalization about your dividing buying power. You should just be buying Ethereum and not all the things on top of Ethereum. You should just be buying Hex and not all the derivatives that are utilizing Hex in some form of smart contract. Over the past several years, we've seen the long stay of Alex and all of his product line. We've seen the long stay of, still distracts some buying power to participate in Dipcatcher and Gold Keys products, right? It still is taking some buying power off of the immediate chart. But there's a redemption. And if people have a long-term mindset that I'm going to buy this necklace because it's composed of gold. And later, it goes to the narrative that Peter Schiff has said on stage 1,000 times, or Mike Maloney, a different person in Puerto Rico you guys should meet, another gold guy, right? So, he says, okay, I believe in gold, but here is a card that has, 1 gram sections, and you can break off what you want as you need it. So there's always like this redemption mentality about these products, especially like Hex and Bitcoin. But I just wanted to highlight again that Money Dane Crypto's tweet, I think, was useful. And so taking those clips, giving proper credit so that people can get to channels like you guys. You guys talk a lot about real estate. I think that Money Dane Crypto distills ideas down very well. I think he's got a great format on how he explains things. So like clipping that stuff up, but giving due credit, I think is useful. And I kind of want to get opinion about that.
In fact, why don't you Money Game really quick for our audience? Just in case, I saw the tweet, and thanks to you, Gary, because I saw you retweet it. Money Game, why don't you give us a synopsis of that whole ideology real quick?
Sure, yeah. Hopefully I'm not clipping too much. I think I've worked out why there was audio issues, and appreciate the kind words as well, Gary. Very nice of you as well. Actually, Gary was one of the first people when I was first starting my channel. He clipped up something from my channel and put it on Twitter, and then it went kind of semi-viral, putting it out to his audience. So I want to thank you for that as well, because that really it gave me the encouragement to carry on and create streams and create content and do that side of things in crypto. So I appreciate that. In terms of the synopsis, like one of the big arguments I think within Pulse Chain community was, hey, just buy Richard only coins and that's that. And then there were guys like, well, no, we need to innovate. You can't just have a chain that's completely a ghost chain that you can't use anything or do anything on it. Like if we're going to bring people across, realistically, we need to have protocols that are already on Ethereum that come across and do something well. And so obviously everyone knows about Metcalfe's law and how, you add users, and I'm trying to like explain it in 2 seconds, but the more users you add, the more interconnectedness you have, and it starts to grow and amplify the network. But Reed's law was an expansion to that. And it was that as you grow the network, if you start to have subgroups and sub-communities within that network, it expands even further and quicker at a higher rate. So I'm very much simplifying the language here just to make it easier for the audience. But it is a case whereby when we have sub-communities and subgroups, it is really beneficial to the overall network effect of Pulse Chain in this example. And part of the reason why Ethereum did so well in the 2021 run was because there was so much going on. There was the NFT community. There was the gaming community. There was also guys who were in DeFi. I remember the guys who got into, for example, PancakeSwap and Uniswap. And there was the Hex community even in the Ethereum, which was another subgroup and sub-community. And that had its own, I would say, its own flavor to it. And so all of these different flavors made up a gelato shop, ice cream shop, as it were. And more people wanted to come onto Ethereum. And Ethereum was the native gas token, and it did very, very well in that 21 bull run. And so I think that we have a big opportunity as we expand, as you get guys like the Tang Gang, as you get guys like 9inch, as you get guys like 9mm and, the DAO protocols from Gold Key and Tanto. And then you've got so much going on, even to an extent. And I'm not going to, personally, I don't feel a good way about it, but even the Atropa mini system that happened at the beginning, that was often shilled by B-Roots and stuff like that. You'll remember all of the coins going on. I actually think it was quite pivotal to survival of Pulse Chain in the early beginnings. Now, a lot of people will say, well, there was a lot of washing of money and there's some dodgy stuff going on there. But I'm just using it as an example, as something that could have expanded into its own mini ecosystem within Pulse Chain. And so I think trying to encourage that is going to be the way forward, trying to encourage builders on the chain. I think we're quick because maybe we're so worried about scams, and we're so worried. We were taught and educated by RH predominantly about don't give over your keys and good practice, and invest in Hex and invest in products that have those principles that surround Hex, that we often chuck things out chuck the baby out with the bathwater, as per se.
Right.
But there is a lot of stuff like Tetra's coming on as well. That's going to be a protocol that's going to be big on Pulse Chain. There's a lot of innovation that's coming across. So I like the idea of encouraging builders. I also the Texan guys and their ecosystem that's growing out. Fingers crossed, liquid loans and all of that, and Power City. So I encourage that, and I think that will expand the general network. And I really was impressed by what happened. I know they haven't launched the best straight away with 9inch, but what was said today by Hexy was very well said on the Twitter space. In terms of he's trying to create a system where we shake hands with Ethereum and encourage Ethereum users to cross the bridge and come to Pulse Chain and vice versa. And just look at the gas fees today, guys. Like it's what $100 a transaction is insane.
Yes. And I agree with you 100%. We've always been an advocate, and we've even said it many times, me and Dane on the show, that I felt like, especially post SEC, the only thing that kept us from going to zero was the community and the builders building. Literally, the builders dragged the bull through the mud during this SEC FUD. Now we're kind of picking up, we're pulling out, we're seeing RH return, and hoorah on the community a little bit. But man, he was gone there for a minute, and there was a lot of uncertainty. And it was the builders and even the meme coin guys. I'll give credit where credit is due. It was these communities that dragged Pulse Chain through this tough time to now where we're finally going, oh crap, there was the bottom. So I agree 100%. I love it, and I love to see what we've accomplished so far. It's been amazing.
In fact, in respect to what you're talking about, Money Gang, let me go ahead and put this tweet up here that Sami shared. I like your guys' take on it. So he says that the Richard Heart ecosystem is currently valued at $3.5 billion today, excluding the OA. A to B and B XRP peaked around $100 billion in 2021. If all of Richard Hart's stuff get there, that's around a 30x from today. That means a 30x across the board on all the Richard Hart stuff. XRP hit 90 billion with the corrupt SEC looming. So that's the only target we have, but it could be unreliable. If 100x is coming, then we need to get $350 billion valuation, which is 50% bigger than Ethereum size today. They could all happen, but those are the numbers that we're looking at. What are your guys' take in general? I feel like there's a lot of people that are still talking 1000x and doing things of that nature. What are your guys' thoughts in general? Maybe start with you, Money Gang, how you're talking about what was the law that you were just mentioning? Reed, yeah. What's your take on Reed's law in respect to some of these numbers that Sami's putting out here?
Well, the first thing when I read that, because I did read that and I saw what Sami's narrative is. One of the things I would say is, well, he's comparing like four different protocols to one. So that is something that I kind of look at when we talk about. So are we doing a comparison for comparison like sake? Like Pulse and Ethereum in terms of market cap, or are we doing PulseX, eHex, and pHex?
He was.
And Ethereum, which to me is very different, right? We have to separate the products individually because people have preferences to each different product depending on what they like, what they want to buy. And you in that example as well, you've got Cardano, you've got Binance BNB, and things of that nature. If we combined everything that's on Binance Smart Chain, every single token, and worked out the market cap from that, I'd be wondering, what that would be, and then working out how high, PulseX, eHex, pHex is. So that was the first issue I had, quote unquote, with the status. There's actually Gary's put in the chat, in the private chat. There's actually a really good layout of Reed's law, Metcalfe's law, and Sarnoff's law. You might be able to bring it up on screen.
Yeah, let me grab it really quick. That's a cool topic.
It is.
There we go.
I also want to know, because Sami keeps saying that we need his numbers were 300 million. What was it? 300 million per month for 18 months, and I don't agree with that figure.
Gone through, yeah.
Because Obviously, a lot of his assessments are based off of market cap and kind of quick maths as to if it went up this much, then this would be how many X's it would be. But if you took into account, if you looked at the bridge, like when Pulse Chain first started and when we hit the all-time highs for Pulse and PulseX, which is the 22nd of May, we only had about 190 million net inflow, which is around about 40 or 50 million more than what we're at today. And that was way above, that was above sacrifice, almost 2x above sacrifice price for Pulse, and then slightly above on PulseX. So I'm wondering, you know, obviously I would love to have a conversation with Somi, or whether that's online or across, how he's coming to that conclusion or coming to that figure. Because 300 million for 18 months does seem like a heck of a lot more than what I would assess or calculate to be enough to hit 100x.
Yeah,
right.
I just put a thing in the private chat reference directly to what you just said, and part of that is I have DMs every so often with Somi. I tried to meet him in Australia or New Zealand, wherever he is, but you know, the AI is very ethereal. So something to keep in mind is on that bridge, which I see people doing screenshots of the Go Pulse bridge data. Keep in mind that those numbers rise and fall based on the value of the Hex, the wrapped BTC, and the ETH.
Yeah,
those are rising and falling. So one day it says 93 million, and the next day it says 95 million, and you say, well, that means that there's more bridge to cross. It is including the values are changing based on those three variables.
Yeah, this was one of the things I was trying to point out in a recent video, was if you've got like 33% or 34% of the bridged in assets is eHex, the number can really change dependent on the price of eHex on that day. You know, when we talk about like Hart's Law and things of that nature, same with eHex and BTC. I mean, if I look at the bridge numbers today, I reckon it'd be way higher than it was yesterday, just based off of the fact that Bitcoin's doing new highs for the day, for the week even.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's a good.
And so then when we then make an assessment of could it do 100x from bottom, you then ask yourselves, well, what will be the price at that point, and what will be the economic energy that just literally comes from the value of what's being bridged in from other chains?
Right.
And I think it got a little bit more skewed a little bit after the SEC case. I need to do the data on it and analyze it, but I think what had happened was there was a massive drop off of stable coins, approximately about 20 million, the day of and the day after the SEC case came against Richard Hart. And part of the reason for that as well, if you remember, is OKX delisted and a lot of centralized exchanges delisted. And one of the easiest ways to purchase up those Pulse from those centralized listings was through Tether or was through stables. And so now you see that there's more money coming through the bridge through eHex rather than through stables. And so you have to keep that in mind with your assessments. And then you have to ask yourself, okay, well, what if the SEC case goes away? How much in stable coins will be deployed? How much will in ETH and Bitcoin be deployed and brought across the bridge to purchase up Pulse and PulseX? And so that is like where my argument against Somi, quote unquote argument, you know, my disagreement with him was like, okay, well, how much of it is just the value, as it were, all ships rise with the tide, with the value from crypto assets that are going up like Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., and how much was it from the SEC case and then centralized exchanges taking their stable coins off? You know, that metric is pretty hard to work out.
Yeah, agreed. What are your thoughts, Norbert?
Great points, both of you bringing up. My thoughts would be, if I may say, is two things. Number one is it depends on how much money leaves the system as well. It's not just how much coming in, how much is leaving the system at the same time. And also how we could make it easier for that money to come in. Because right now, you know, if it requires to be a fairly sophisticated crypto person with a decent amount of knowledge to get the ETH and then wrap it and then send it over. And it requires too many steps, in my opinion. It's still not good enough to be like, okay, I get some ETH and then I do it straight away. Or not even, we shouldn't even be dependent on ETH. We have our own ecosystem, our own country, let's say. So it should have like an easier way of money floating in. Recently, I met quite a few people. I'm talking to everyone about crypto, and I'm trying to introduce them or get the attention or make them interested in it. And people don't want all these steps everyone just want easy. Look around your societies, you turn it on and it works. You don't even touch buttons anymore. Just say, hey Alexa, lights on. So even crypto has to be that seamless and that easy as well. And another thing I would like to say is that Hexy did really well to pick this niche to go after the meme coin guys, and I really hope so that it's going to work out, because I'm pretty sure that they put a lot of time and effort into this. But we also need to look around, and I don't see many gaming projects, for example, on the pool chain ecosystem. And right now, a lot of money. Look at Illuvium and other stuff, and Alex Becker, he's a big advocate of gaming crypto. Is a big chunk of the market share, which is untapped completely. So now we have a decent, sophisticated financial product in the PH ecosystem, Fame, Fiat, PHUX, fantastic, very solid, very robust. A lot of money are there, so very thick liquidity. Hopefully the 9 is gonna work out well. And then if we go for the gaming sector, then we have a good chance of becoming a really popular chain, as long as these criteria is met, that the untapped areas are worked out really well, and then also the onboarding, the money floating in is make as seamless and easy as possible.
I like it. I think the gaming sector is a huge opportunity. A lot of those guys are going to be more sophisticated and easier to onboard anyways to crypto, since they're a little bit more tech savvy too. Corey and I are working with a group of a little bit older investors right now that are not particularly tech savvy. And
yeah, that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, with those guys, it's just a lot. It's a lot steeper than than like your a little bit younger gaming crowd. So yeah, that's a good take, Norbert.
Or even just a younger generation, it's people heard about crypto, but they don't know MetaMask, they don't know centralized exchanges, they don't know so many things. There's a lack of knowledge, So if you want to onboard a big chunk, because if you look around, whoever is in crypto right now, it's kind of like they have some sort of beliefs in certain ecosystem. Solana guys, they believe in Solana. The ETH guys, they believe in ETH. It's difficult to pull those guys out of those systems and say, hey, come over here. It's the fire is bigger. I'll give you a nice portion of food. It's gonna be cool here. Dane's gonna bring us some drinks. Money Gang's gonna do the music. It doesn't work like that. They do what they do. So we need new people who can say like easily. When I tell people that average day workers, I say, look, I can do every day $10 a day on crypto on one of my investments on the PHUX ecosystem, and it's $10 every day. It's coming easily, and then after that I can turn that into other cryptos, or I can put it back. I have the different sort of system. And when they hear that, everyone is like, yeah, I like that. Like it's an extra $10. It's like an extra hour of work being earned by putting a bit of time and effort at the beginning, and then it's just coming in nice and easy. So yeah.
Is there an easier way to bring money into Pulse Chain than the Coast protocol? I think that's the easiest way right now. Are you guys aware of other ways other than like the bridge, of course?
I got told that GoPulse is potentially doing something similar to CST. But yeah, I think CST is probably, Coast stablecoin is probably the easiest. But I tried to use it the other day as well, and struggled with Revolut, which was a bit of a shame. And then I think that there is also a way to. Coffee had put something in his status where he had said that you can download Uniswap or a version of Uniswap and be able to get wrap Pulse and then bring it across the bridge, which was quite a gas efficient way. But unfortunately, I mean, for me, I was using OKX at the start because I loved it. I mean, I know it's a centralized exchange, but I could put limit orders in for Pulse and be able to purchase up Pulse straight away and put in cheeky buys at lower lows as well. So that was so convenient. So I would love to get OKX back on board. And I know we got to be DeFi and don't use centralized exchanges, but I just literally would buy it up and then just send it to a MetaMask wallet or an Oryx wallet or something of that nature. But yeah, we'll see. I think it will change. I mean, I think the tide will change when the SEC lawsuit gets dropped, if it gets dropped, or if there's more regulatory clarity on Richard, because Richard seems very, very confident that the stuff that he's putting up can be used in court. And so I don't know, like 28th of November.
I'm a conspiracy theorist, and I think I'm putting the tinfoil hat on. I think the people already kind of know that it's already been won, and I think that's why we've been pumping, and that's why I think we bottomed. But I could be wrong. It feels that way.
It does feel like it does feel that way. I again, we can't be feelings based, but yeah,
there's something that happened that we don't know, right? That we don't know, but I could be wrong.
I want to touch on that a tiny bit. This is a cultural shift. Hex originated in 2000, late 17 or early 18, somewhere in there, as far as like the Telegram rooms and conversations and research and people. Richard would put out a comment in a Telegram room saying about he needed to know the total market cap of gold and all of the different stores of value and contract, and we call CDs and things like that. So he was trying to basically prepare marketing information. So hundreds of people that were interested to assist, volunteered time to research these things. So Hex has been around a long time. And then that culture built up around, his public gladiatorial style of engaging, influencers and kind of letting the world of Bitcoin know that he's had a pivot, and his pivot is that Ethereum has more use cases and more network effect and things like that going forward. Now we have an L1, and with the L1, it's interesting that I see so much. I understand when there's this perception, whether it's true or not, of someone is grifting the community, right? They make a pitch, they put together a narrative, they have a story, and the story maybe that there's a hidden dev that's organizing LP in hundreds of different pools, and that's going to basically create value. All right, so there's a certain cynicism, and that is partly because, if not majorly, from the first commentary by Richard setting the culture, setting the tone, just like the CEO of any company, the CEO of any decentralized business was to say, this is how we're going to move forward, then the decentralized enthusiasts that choose to take up that mantle would say and echo the same things. So understand where we have been and where we're at. Now we do have an L1, and the L1 says this is Turing complete. This is opportunity. I think it highlights again what Money Gang had said, that there's not matcha 1 inch, there's not Uniswap. If Ethereans effectively say we have this network that can do anything but don't do anything on it, right? So you have to have the cat videos and porn come along with the utility of the internet. You have to have it. Like, you don't have to embrace it. You don't have to put it on your Twitter and say that I'm all for cat videos as the use case of high throughput internet. But
great example.
All of your time railing against why people are wasting their time watching cat videos, you're going to miss the boat. You're going to totally miss the boat. So I think that this to highlight this reads, and it just, again, it becomes a narrative to the intellectuals or the people that are mid-curve or whatever you want to call the labeling of people that perceive these things and say, oh, this is why I need to be an advocate of freedom of speech, not just freedom of my speech or freedom of my friend's speech. You're freedom of speech or you're not. And so it's very similar when it comes to the use cases of what can happen in cryptocurrencies and networks, in subcultures as they decide to, create value and then share that value across the L1 or the DEX that you're an enthusiast about. Very important, very important. I'd seen, there's something I was just looking at, which was, so I wanted to go back to the topic, if we can, that is your stream. 9-inch killed the Mario space. I just saw, as far as just how long he was on, 15 minutes.
That's great.
Yeah, I haven't listened to the content yet, but I saw the tweet that Dane just put out during the stream about the expense. Now, was that part of the pitch that 9-inch says, hey, if you sacrifice for whatever the freedom was for their project, then we're going to spend 30 grand to be on Mario's channel, right? And to be on the town hall. No, that wasn't part of the pitch. That was volunteerism by the founders about the product that they developed over the course of time. Did they develop for 2 years? It's really interesting how illogical a lot of people that I do see on Twitter that follow me, I follow, that, I think that they're 80% correct most of the time. And then that last 20% kills my interest in their content. And it is this narrative, which is, Mario was 200,000 at the same time that Richard was 200,000. Mario's 1.1 million now. Richard's not. Okay. Other people don't like Rand. They don't like, people that, they don't like B-Roots. Do you know that B-Roots is the biggest out of all of the non-Richard content creators? He's the biggest Twitter handle, at least.
I like B-Roots myself.
Right. And I'm not saying that his content has financial advice that you should follow. I mean, it's very similar to the John McAfee stuff. If anybody's been around long enough, when John McAfee was making a tweet, people would front run and say, I'm going to buy because McAfee just tweeted it. They would set their alerts. They would buy something within seconds of McAfee's tweet. Why? Because they were noble? No, because they knew a pump was going to happen. They just knew a pump was going to happen, and they knew they're going to dump it in 20 minutes, right? So it's paying attention to why do you think that every quarter, whenever people can get information about the quarterly reports in the stock market, why do you think that pumps the market or dumps the market? It's because people find out about it, they act on it, and then the rest of the market learns, right? They say, oh, this is what happened, right? CPI numbers just came out, unemployment numbers just came out. These are no different. There are people front running your stock market. They're doing it either through technology because they have high frequency trading. They're taking small slices out of your transactions. And I'm not saying that that's absolutely evil. It's just the world that we live in. Information is money. Speed of information is even more money, right? Influence is money. Brand is money. These are all money. That's all they are. So, like, again, when I make tweets, and content, any of us make tweets, you guys embrace more than many. This is an L1, and I think you're pretty darn front forward as far as informing your audience. I'm speaking about Dane and Corey. Is you say, hey, this is our opportunity. Crypto market has a cycle, it's a 4-year cycle. We want to make a lot of money right now during the next year to 2 years. We see that this is a trend and we're going to roll it over into real estate. And so you're probably going to get a lot of haters when the market starts to nose over, which eventually it will. All bulls don't last forever. No. All bears don't last forever. Oh. And then they're going to say, well, look at these guys. They bought a mansion. They bought apartment complexes. They pivoted their money into other things. You're going to get grief too, right? Yeah. So right. I like the people that are pretty darn direct about it. Now, when it goes to Hexy, Bastard, and the 9-inch DEX, they had their product. It released. It's Pancake Swap. It's got a narrative around staking, short-term staking that's flexible, long-term staking that you choose. Here's what a BBC may or may not be worth in the future, not as far as a dollar amount, but it might have some utility or not. Everything is speculation. There's rollout of new farms. I saw that they had new farms that were launched. There's going to be a pitch. At least they have said that their intention is to get on the Ethereum network people that otherwise are staying liquid because they want flexibility and they don't want 6 months, 2 years, 15 years worth of hex staking. We've seen a lot of that liquidity sit dormant until basically it can move the market. You know, it would be interesting if everything was staked, but it's not. It's just not the reality of how people trust their liquid dollars. I keep liquid cash. I keep things that are not built into the walls of the real estate that I own, right? I don't want to take debt against paid off things sometimes. I don't want to go through the tribulation of getting permission from a bank in order to access liquidity, right? So like these are adult themes, even though this is a meme decks talking about big dicks. Like, right? These are adult themes too, right? In more than one way. So I like his comedy. I like that he's reached out to the dev, and he's this DC, whatever they're DBI people or something like that, the dev content's about. I like that he's gone and decided, or him and his team have decided to take, you know, money otherwise it would just sit in their pocket and don't have an obligation to build their decks. They don't have an obligation. They're not under a contract. They're not fiduciary responsible by contract. That's not their role. They're not hedge fund managers, right? They're just people that can choose where they put their resources of their brand, their time, their capital, and they've chosen to be on this stream. Now, I did see that in just an hour or maybe a few hours, 100,000 plays. 100,000 plays on their Crypto Town Hall podcast.
That's great.
1/4 of that was their content, right? 15 minutes worth of it. So kudos, man. Kudos for taking that capital risk. They took a capital risk to engage. And I see positivity and I see negativity around. Here's a very dry financial tool that the CFA that's anonymous decides to launch so that people can leverage and they can get better access to stablecoin. And here's a narrative. And that's that market and that's that appetite. And they should be approaching people that already are familiar with that terminology, that marketplace that's not here, the people that are not here. That's my opinion. Same thing with Hexy. I love that Hexy is a living meme. You know, when I met him in 2019, I drove a couple of hours, you know, north of London to find him, you know, to basically spend time in a pub with him and do that recording, whatever, because I just liked his personality. And he was just, I think he had like 1,000 maybe followers on YouTube or whatever, talking about Hex, right? But I just liked that he was a living meme. And so I think that that's part of this Reed's Law stuff. Subcultures. You guys are subculture kind of real estate. I'm subculture kind of real estate, kind of tax for a few years when I first was participating here. Now I'm just like the traveling guy. I just like to wander around and meet people. That's my thing.
You are the ambassador, sir. You are the ambassador
role, right? Voluntary. You know, I do get tapped a lot more than I want to sometimes. But yeah, I really enjoy it. I enjoy it. I enjoy the kumbaya, if you want to call it that. But like, it's important, like if you like someone and they're making content about the thing that you like, support them. But you know what? If you like that they're talking about anything that's on Pulse Chain as a network, don't shoot them if you don't like them. What's the point?
I agree 100%.
You're just using your brand capital and your energy, and you've set up a rift that doesn't really serve anyone's interest, I don't think. Richard doesn't go. It's funny because I just said something about cat videos on the internet. It's funny because in crypto, everybody has an opinion about what you should spend your money on. Don't spend it on NFTs. Don't spend it on memes. That's a stupid project. It's a reflex token. Okay. But those same people are not saying, don't watch cat videos. It's a waste of your time. You're probably watching too much porn. You know, did you have too many carbs inside those chips that you were going to eat today? Like, everybody's a fucking parent when it comes to other people's financial decisions. Like, everybody's a parent, right? So I just, like I said, I appreciate the channel and I appreciate what you guys do. I think that you get some headwinds you push against, but it's appreciated. You know, it's really good stuff.
Yeah, we appreciate that, Gary. I think you're seeing more sophistication come into the ecosystem and a pivot. Like Richard's whole shtick was spot on when it was
real quick, guys. I gotta hop off. I'll see you. I got an onboarding call, so hopefully,
good luck.
Yeah. So I'll see you guys later.
All right, see ya.
Go for it. All the best.
Yeah, like Richard's stuff was spot on when it was just Hex, but with the Pulse Chain with the pivot to pulse chain, I think you're seeing a lot of the maximalism start to, at least maybe in my feed, I'm just muting the ones that are super annoying. So I'm seeing it less and less. But I feel like you're starting to see a little bit more sophistication where people are seeing, what it means to build a network. There's always going to be pushback. But in the end of the day, like, we have something really freaking cool that's being built right now, and we have the opportunity to participate in it. And however you may want to participate in it, like you're saying, Gary, it's debatable what's going to be the best gains. But irrespective of that, there's a network to be built. There's a culture to be built, and you can get in where you fit in and make moves in whatever respect that may be, rather than being a bitch and complain about everything that you don't like. In fact, on my tweet that I put out, so I said, there's always negativity. So I said, shout out to Hexy Bastard for the 9-inch pulse chain marketing this morning. He paid $30K to be in Mario Nafal's spaces to shill the ecosystem. Where are you at, founders that raise millions of dollars in your sacrifices? BTC almost to 40K. It's time to pay to play. Get more eyes on the ecosystem. And then you have people in the comments saying, oh, like, and nobody bought, like, you paid 30 grand and nobody bought yet. Like, this is not a plant a seed and you get, and that seed grows into a plant in an hour. This is planting a seed and growing a freaking farm to profitability, and it takes time. So, like, get in where you fit in.
And
but that's the thing, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, that's the thing, your personality attract a certain kind of a group of people. And when I go to the 9-inch Telegram, is all about, these Dvorak hugging candles and rockets and, like Van Moon and things like that. So it's not the sophisticated bunch, that's for sure. But yeah, it's just humankind. Everyone wants everything now. But because we have, like, Gary got a really good point here, that, for example, Dane and Corey, they have this excellent niche. They know what they're doing. They have been in the property industry for a long time. So they reach out for property developers and investors and say, hey, if you want to be part of this, why not? So I think each of us gonna have a more about healthy lifestyle, businesses becoming successful and growing, and efficiency and profitability to be a bit more profitable. So if everyone finds their own niche, then we all gonna go together. But the support is really, really important, because, for example, I like Adam on Viber Finance. Every morning when I drive to work, I just put him on, I listen what he has to say, and I try to share it. I try to comment on it. Not that many comments he's got, for example, but he does a really, really good market research, like he goes really, really deep, and then he's got extremely valid points. So I think supporting each other is one of the key elements, and finding our own personalities and niche and reach out for those individuals, and then create these subgroups. Then we're going to be more effective if you do it that way. Thank you.
Yeah, really good take. Let's put Money Gang. Let's put a few of these charts up. In fact, this is probably a good way to kind of start rounding the show out. Let me go ahead and put up a few of these charts that you've put in the private chat. These are great.
Yeah, there's the bridge activity. I really like this. Anyone can save this as well. It's pretty good to get an idea of what's coming in, the net inflow and outflow.
Yeah, this is great. I haven't used this before, but I'll bookmark this one.
100%. Yeah, you want to check that out, and that gets updated, I think, every midnight at UTC time. And then you can also click on the sidebar as well if you just want to see a particular type of crypto coming in. So whether it's ETH or whether it's, say, for example, you just want to see what stable coins are coming in. Obviously, that big green section there is all the stable coins that came in. You'll see the drop off in that moment there when the SEC case came.
Right there.
And the kind of bridging activity. I mean, the pink, purple there. Is it purple or pink? I'm not sure. My eyesight's not that great, but that is the bridged in EHEX as well, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And then below that, you've got in black the ETH, I believe.
Yep, you're right.
ETH. Yeah. So this was the thing I was kind of looking at, observing, seeing. I was also kind of looking at the data. So one of the things I was doing was I was comparing like the lowest day on June, not June the month, but actually on this bridged in data. I was trying to find out what was the lowest net inflow amount, and that came to about 130 million plus approximately. I'd written it out, and on that day as well, I wanted to compare the price of the tokens, particularly the ones that have the biggest effect, which would be EHEX, Wrapped ETH, and Wrapped Bitcoin, and see what their price was at that moment. Because obviously, this structure of how much net inflow and outflow is, the net amount, is based off of kind of the price at that time. You know, what is the price of Bitcoin at that time? What is the price of Ethereum at that time, or even EHEX? One of the benefits of liquidity bonding, particularly if a lot of it is bonded to Hex, is that if EHEX does pump, obviously we know Hart's law, it will have a higher effect in terms of value than, say, for example, something like Bitcoin that only went up, you know, at 4% for the day or something like that. So if EHEX pumps significantly, that's going to have a higher effect in terms of net inflow and outflow of bridged in assets.
Yeah, this is very cool. Good share. And if you guys want, in fact, I'll try to put up a few of you guys here. If you guys want to, if you want to see where to go, hold on. All right. If you guys want to see Money Gang stuff, make sure to follow him on Twitter. Here's a post on Metcalfe's Law and Reed's Law. In fact, I'm going to go read this after our stream is done here. So thanks for sharing that. That was really good. And then Gary is, let me see if I can find you really quick, Gary. Are you on? You're on Twitter too, aren't you, Norbert?
Yes, I am, with the same title as is on the stream. My name, my full name, and with 00 at the end.
Gary is funding Jim. Here's Gary. So if you guys like what these guys are saying, I mean, you build your own community. So I'd go ahead and these are a couple. I follow all three of you guys on Twitter. I really appreciate your content, what you're putting out. You get in where you fit in, and it's an opportunity to be able to build together. Big GZ asks what the website is for this data for the bridge. I'll go ahead and post it in the chat right here. And yeah, appreciate you guys being on today. This was a lot of fun to stream. And with that, we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks again, guys.
Appreciate it
for the opportunity. All the best.
See ya.